The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the massive holographic display showed the approaching human fleet. 5,000 warships, each gleaming with polished steel and bristling with weapons that the council members had never seen before. The lead counselor, Gray, gripped his ceremonial staff tighter, his blue-tinted skin growing pale. "Impossible," he whispered, but the word echoed through the chamber. They were nothing but primitive apes just 3 centuries ago. Admiral James Walker stood before the council, his weathered face showing no emotion. At 65 years old, he had seen humanity rise from a species confined to one planet to a force that could no longer be ignored. His simple black uniform bore only 3 medals, all he had chosen to wear for this historic moment. "You gave us an ultimatum last year," Walker said, his voice carrying across the chamber without any technological enhancement. "You demanded we dismantle our fleet and submit to Galactic Council oversight. You called us too aggressive, too unpredictable." He paused, allowing his words to sink in. "We have come with our answer." The council members murmured among themselves. They represented 30 of the most advanced species in the galaxy, races that had been traveling between stars when humans were still learning to make fire. Yet none of them had achieved what humanity had in just 300 years. Counselor Rose, a veteran diplomat known for her skill in preventing conflicts, stepped forward. "Admiral Walker, surely we can discuss this reasonably." The Council's concerns about human expansion were not without merit. "Your species has colonized 50 systems in just 1 century. Walker nodded. "We colonized dead worlds, Counselor. Planets no other species wanted. We terraform them, make them livable. We built our civilization without taking from others." He gestured to the holographic display. "And we built our fleet to protect what we've earned." The display zoomed in on one of the human ships. Its design was unlike anything the Council had seen before. Where their ships were elegant and streamlined, this vessel was practical, sturdy, and radiated power. The readings showed energy signatures that shouldn't have been possible with known technology. "How?" asked Counselor Gray, his composure cracking. "Our reports showed you were at least 50 years away from developing quantum fold technology." A slight smile crossed Walker's face. "Your reports were wrong. They've been wrong about us from the beginning. You saw what you expected to see, a young, primitive species stumbling into the galactic community. You never bothered to look deeper." The chamber's artificial lighting seemed to dim as Walker continued. "Humanity has learned something in its short time among the stars. We learned that the galaxy isn't the peaceful utopia you pretend it is. We've seen how the Council treats primitive species. How you divide and control them, all while claiming to protect them." He stepped closer to the Council's elevated platform. "So we hid our true progress. We let you think we were struggling with basic space flight while we built something new. Something better." The display changed again, showing the interior of a human ship. The Council members gasped. Where they expected to see crude controls and basic systems, they instead saw technology that merged biological interfaces with quantum computing. Crew members worked in perfect harmony with their ships, their neural links allowing reactions at the speed of thought. "This is what humanity can do when pushed," Walker said. "We didn't want this confrontation. We would have been happy to join your council as equals. But you gave us no choice." Counselor Gray stood, his ceremonial robes flowing around him. "Are you declaring war, Admiral Walker?" "No," Walker replied, his voice firm. "I'm declaring independence. Humanity will not be controlled, but we are willing to cooperate. The choice is yours. Accept us as equals, or watch as we forge our own path among the stars." The silence that followed was deafening. 5,000 ships hung in space above the Council world, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. And this was just the beginning. The Council had to make a decision. They could accept this new reality, or they could challenge it. But as they looked at the display, at the fleet that had appeared from nowhere, they began to understand something that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity would no longer be underestimated. The emergency session of the Galactic Council stretched into its third hour. Counselor Gray had ordered all non-essential personnel to leave the chamber, leaving only the highest-ranking representatives to deal with the crisis at hand. Our intelligence networks have failed us completely, Counselor Rose said, reviewing the latest reports on her data pad. The humans didn't just hide their military advancement, they concealed entire industrial sectors. We're finding evidence of massive shipyards in supposedly uninhabited systems. Admiral Walker remained standing in the center of the chamber, his patience unwavering. Behind him, a holographic display showed real-time updates from the human fleet above. Every few minutes, more ships would emerge from quantum space, joining the already impressive formation. Counselor Thex, known for his military expertise, leaned forward in his seat. "These ships," he said, gesturing to the display, "they're not just warships, are they? The energy readings suggest something more." Walker nodded, finally breaking his stoic expression with a slight smile. "Each vessel in our fleet serves multiple purposes. They're capable of combat, yes, but they're also equipped for deep space exploration, terraforming, and emergency planetary evacuation. Humanity learned early on that specialization leads to vulnerability." The council members exchanged worried glances. Their own civilizations had spent millennia developing highly specialized ships for each purpose. The idea of combining multiple functions efficiently in one vessel had been deemed impossible. "Show them," Walker said, and the holographic display shifted to reveal the interior of one of the larger ships. What appeared to be a weapon system smoothly transformed, components shifting and rearranging until it formed an advanced terraforming array. "Adaptive technology," Counselor Thex whispered, his eyes wide. "You've mastered it." "More than that," Walker replied. "We've perfected it. Every ship in our fleet can adapt to new situations within minutes. Our crews train not just for combat, but for any crisis they might encounter." A younger council member, Torres, spoke up for the first time. "But why? Why put so much effort into hiding all this? You could have joined the council years ago with this level of technology." Walker's expression hardened. "Because we watched. We saw how the council treated other emerging civilizations. How you demanded they specialize, focus on one area of expertise, become dependent on the galactic economy. You call it efficient resource allocation. We call it control." The chamber grew tense as Walker continued. 6 years ago, when the Arcturus colony faced a devastating solar storm, they called for help. The council said it would take weeks to assemble the right specialized ships for evacuation and habitat reconstruction. We watched as bureaucracy nearly cost millions of lives. "That's not fair," Rose interjected. "The council has procedures procedures that almost led to disaster," Walker cut in. "A single human ship, disguised as a simple trading vessel, saved that colony. One ship, with the ability to adapt its systems for evacuation, medical support, and environmental stabilization. The council never even knew we were there." The revelation hit the council members hard. They had praised themselves for how quickly they'd helped rebuild Arcturus after the storm. Now they learned that humanity had been quietly operating in the background, saving lives while maintaining their carefully crafted image of technological inferiority. "How many other times?" Gray asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "How many other operations have you conducted without our knowledge?" "Enough to know that the galaxy needs a change," Walker answered. "The age of rigid specialization and bureaucratic control needs to end. Humanity is offering an alternative, adaptation, flexibility, and genuine cooperation." The display changed again, showing more human ships emerging from quantum space. But these were different, massive vessels clearly designed for civilian use. Hospital ships, research vessels, and exploration craft, all bearing the same adaptive technology as their military counterparts. "This is the choice before you," Walker said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Continue with your outdated system of control, or embrace a new way forward. Either way, humanity will no longer hide in the shadows. We are here to stay." The council members looked at each other, the weight of the decision before them hanging heavy in the air. The galaxy was about to change, whether they were ready or not. The council chamber's atmosphere grew tenser as Admiral Walker activated a new holographic display. This time, it showed a distant star system on the edge of council space, one that had been deemed too unstable for colonization centuries ago. 3 months ago, Walker began, this system was considered uninhabitable. Multiple council surveys concluded that the radiation levels were too high, the planets too volatile for terraforming. He paused, allowing a slight smile to cross his face. "We decided to prove them wrong." The display zoomed in on the third planet. What should have been a toxic, radiation-soaked world now showed signs of rapid transformation. Vast machines operated on the surface, their designs unlike anything the Council had ever seen. "Impossible," Councillor Thex muttered, studying the readings. The radiation levels alone would destroy any terraforming equipment within days. Walker nodded to his aide, who transmitted new data to the Council's systems. "Traditional equipment, yes. But our adaptive technology doesn't just work in our ships. We've developed systems that evolve and adapt to hostile environments, learning and improving with each challenge they face." The display showed massive structures that seemed to pulse with living energy. They weren't just machines, they were a hybrid of organic and mechanical components, working together to transform the deadly environment. "In 3 months," Walker continued, "we've reduced the radiation levels by 60%. In 6 more months, the planet will be ready for initial colonization. In 1 year, it will support a population of millions." Councillor Rose stood up, her diplomatic composure cracking. "Do you understand what you're saying? You're claiming to have solved problems that have stumped our best scientists for millennia." "No," Walker replied calmly. "We're saying we approached the problems differently. Your scientists tried to force environments to conform to existing life. We created technology that adapts to the environment, then gradually transforms it." The display shifted again, showing similar operations on other planets throughout the system. Each world was at a different stage of transformation, demonstrating the scale of human operations. "But the cost," Councillor Gray interjected. "The resources needed for such operations would bankrupt even the wealthiest council worlds." Walker shook his head. "That's because you're thinking in terms of traditional terraforming methods. Our adaptive systems are self-replicating. They use the very radiation and hostile elements they're clearing as fuel for their operations. The more challenging the environment, the more energy they have to work with." The council chamber erupted in murmurs as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just developed new technology, they had fundamentally changed the rules of what was possible. "And this is just one system," Walker added, his voice cutting through the noise. "We have similar operations underway in 12 other, uninhabitable, systems. Within 5 years, we will have created homes for billions of people in areas the Council abandoned as worthless." Councillor Torres, the youngest member, leaned forward. "Why show us this now? Why reveal these capabilities when you could have continued in secret?" Walker's expression grew serious. "Because the galaxy is changing. Our long-range sensors have detected something approaching from intergalactic space, something that will challenge every species in this room. We need to be ready." The display changed one final time, showing readings from the edge of the galaxy. Strange energy signatures pulsed in the void between stars, moving with clear purpose and intent. "That's why we built our fleet," Walker explained. "That's why we developed adaptive technology. Not just to stand up to the Council, but to prepare for what's coming." We could face this threat alone. Humanity has grown stronger than you realize. But we would prefer to face it together, as equals. The council chamber fell silent as the implications of Walker's words sank in. They had gathered thinking they faced a diplomatic crisis. Now they realized they were standing on the brink of something far more significant. How long? Counselor Gray asked, his voice barely a whisper. 2 years, Walker replied. Maybe less. The question is, will you work with us as partners, or will pride and tradition prevent us from defending our galaxy together? The fate of billions hung on their answer. The Council's emergency session entered its 6th hour as Admiral Walker displayed detailed scans of the approaching threat. The holographic images showed massive objects moving through the void between galaxies, their energy signatures unlike anything recorded in Council archives. We first detected them 4 years ago, Walker explained, manipulating the display to show their trajectory. At first, we thought they were natural phenomena, perhaps some unknown type of spaceborne entities. But then we noticed patterns. Purpose. Intelligence. Counselor Thex studied the data with growing concern. These energy readings, they're off the scale. Each of these objects appears to be consuming stellar material as it travels. How is that even possible? That's what got our attention, Walker replied. He gestured, and the display showed a time-lapse of one of the entities passing through a star system. The council members watched in horror as an entire star dimmed, its energy seemingly absorbed by the massive creature or machine. No one could tell which it was. We've calculated their trajectory, Walker continued. They're heading directly for the Orion arm of our galaxy. First contact will occur at the edge of human space. Counselor Rose's hands trembled as she processed the information. Why didn't you inform us earlier? The council could have Could have what? Walker interrupted. Formed a committee? Spent years debating the proper response? We needed to act, not talk. That's why we accelerated our development programs. That's why we built our fleet. The display shifted to show human military installations hidden throughout supposedly empty systems. Massive shipyards, research stations, and defense platforms had been constructed in complete secrecy, all preparing for the approaching threat. But how? Counselor Gray asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Our surveillance networks cover every sector of Council space. How did you hide all of this? Walker smiled grimly. Your networks see what they expect to see. We developed quantum masking technology years ago. We can hide entire star systems behind false sensor readings. The Council's ships have probably passed right through our defense networks without ever knowing they were there. The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just advanced beyond Council expectations, they had fundamentally altered the rules of space warfare and defense. Show them the Titan project, Walker commanded, and the display changed again. This time, it showed something that made even the most composed Council members gasp. A massive structure orbited a black hole at the edge of human space. It appeared to be drawing energy directly from the gravitational forces at work, powering what looked like a massive defensive array. This is our last line of defense, Walker explained. If the entities breach our outer systems, we'll use the black hole's energy to create a quantum barrier across their path. But it's a desperate measure, one that could destabilize spacetime itself in that region. Counselor Torres leaned forward. You're willing to risk tearing apart the fabric of space to stop these things? The danger to nearby systems would be acceptable compared to the alternative, Walker cut in. We've seen what these entities do to inhabited systems. If they reach Council space, they won't stop until every star, every planet, every trace of life is consumed. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't been building a fleet to challenge the Council, they had been preparing for an extinction-level threat. We need the Council's help, Walker admitted, his voice softening for the first time. Our fleet is strong, our technology is advanced, but we're not sure it will be enough. If we combine our forces, share our technologies, we might stand a chance. And if we refuse? Counselor Gray asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Then humanity will face the threat alone, Walker replied. We'll fight to our last ship, our last soldier. But know this, if we fall, there will be nothing standing between these entities and the heart of Council space. The display showed one final image, a simulation of the entity's projected path through the galaxy. System after system went dark in their wake, a wave of extinction approaching the galaxy's most populated regions. Time is running out, Walker said quietly. We need your answer. The Council Chamber's automated systems dimmed the lights as Admiral Walker activated a secure transmission from the human frontier. The holographic display flickered to life, showing real-time footage of a human deep space monitoring station. This recording was taken 12 hours ago, Walker said, his voice grim. Watch carefully. The Council members leaned forward as the footage played. At first, it showed only the empty void of space, but then something changed. The stars in the background began to flicker, as if something massive was passing in front of them. Our quantum sensors detected a scout, Walker explained. One of the smaller entities, probably sent ahead to analyze potential feeding grounds. The footage zoomed in, and the Council members saw it, a dark mass roughly the size of a small moon, its surface rippling with strange energy patterns. As they watched, the entity encountered an unmanned human probe. What happened next made several Council members gasp. The probe didn't just get destroyed, it was completely absorbed, its matter and energy consumed in seconds. That probe was equipped with our most advanced shields, Walker said quietly. They meant nothing to the entity. It consumed everything, matter, energy, even the quantum signatures of our technology. Counselor Gray stood up, his ceremonial robes rustling in the tense silence. How did you drive it away? Walker's expression hardened. We didn't. Watch. The footage continued. Suddenly, a human warship dropped out of quantum space near the entity. But instead of attacking, it deployed something new, a device that began pulsing with a strange, rhythmic energy. What you're seeing is our quantum resonance technology, Walker explained. We discovered that these entities are sensitive to certain energy frequencies. This one fled when exposed to the resonance pulse. But not before we collected vital data, he continued, bringing up new readings. These entities aren't just consuming matter and energy, they're storing it. Building up power for something big. Counselor Rose shook her head in disbelief. If one scout can do this much damage, what will happen when the main force arrives? That's why we're here, Walker replied. He gestured, and the display changed to show a massive construction project hidden in an asteroid field. This is Project Guardian. We've been building quantum resonance generators powerful enough to create a defensive line across hundreds of light years. The Council members studied the massive structures with a mix of awe and fear. Each generator was the size of a small city, bristling with technology that challenged their understanding of physics. The resonance field will slow them down, Walker continued, but it won't stop them completely. That's where the combined fleet comes in. While the entities are weakened by the quantum resonance, our ships can use adapted weapons to break them apart. Counselor Thex, the military expert, leaned forward. You've thought of everything, haven't you? All these years, while we watched for signs of aggression against the Council, you were preparing for something far worse. We had no choice, Walker replied. Our long-range predictions showed that the Council would take too long to react. By the time you finished debating the proper response, half the galaxy would be consumed. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just advanced beyond expectations, they had become the galaxy's first line of defense against an unimaginable threat. We need an answer now, Walker said, his voice firm. Our ships are already moving into defensive positions. The quantum resonance generators will be online in 6 months. Will the Council stand with us, or will you leave humanity to face this threat alone? Counselor Gray looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member. The pride and prejudices of centuries faced off against the cold reality of extinction. Put it to a vote, Gray announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. The future of all our species hangs in the balance. Choose wisely. The voting interfaces on each council member's platform lit up, awaiting their decision. The next few moments would determine whether the galaxy faced the coming darkness united or divided. The council chamber's voting interfaces glowed with quiet intensity as the last votes were cast. Admiral Walker stood motionless, his weathered face revealing nothing as he waited for the results. Above, the holographic display continued showing the massive entities approaching from the void, a constant reminder of what was at stake. Counselor Gray rose from his seat, his hand trembling slightly as he accessed the final tally. The chamber's ancient voting system chimed once, signaling the end of the most important decision in council history. The vote is complete, Gray announced, his voice steady despite the pressure. By a margin of 28-2, the Council has voted to form an immediate alliance with humanity. All military, scientific, and economic resources will be committed to the coming defense. Walker's shoulders relaxed slightly, the first sign of emotion he'd shown in hours. Then we have no time to waste. The human fleet is already moving to establish the first line of defense. We'll need the Council's ships within the week. The display shifted to show a complex strategic map. Human vessels, represented by blue markers, were already forming a massive defensive line across potential approach vectors. The scale was staggering, thousands of ships coordinating across hundreds of light years. Our quantum resonance generators will be placed here, here, and here, Walker said, highlighting positions along the defensive line. Council ships will need to be equipped with our adaptive shielding technology. Without it, they won't survive the resonance fields we'll be generating. Counselor Thex studied the deployment plan with professional interest. Your strategy, it's not just defensive, is it? You're creating a trap. Walker nodded. The resonance fields will force the entities to follow specific paths, channels where their energy absorption capabilities will be weakened. That's where our combined fleet will strike. The display zoomed in on one of the planned engagement zones. The tactical simulation showed Council and human ships working in perfect coordination, using the quantum resonance fields to herd and contain the entities while specialized weapons tore them apart. We've developed weapons that can disrupt their energy storage systems, Walker explained. But timing is crucial. Hit them too early, and they'll adapt. Too late, and they'll have absorbed too much power to be stopped. Counselor Rose leaned forward. This level of coordination, it would take years to train our crews to work together so precisely. Under normal circumstances, yes, Walker replied. He gestured, and the display showed something new, neural interface systems being installed in Council ships. With your permission, we'll upgrade your vessels with our neural link technology. Your crews will be able to react at the speed of thought, just like ours. The council members murmured among themselves. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just sharing weapons and shields, they were offering technology that would fundamentally change how council species interacted with their ships. There's more, Walker continued. Our adaptive technology isn't limited to military applications. We've already begun modifying council agricultural worlds to increase food production. If some systems fall to the entities, the remaining worlds will need to support massive refugee populations. The display showed human engineering teams already at work on council worlds, installing the same adaptive systems that had transformed dead planets into thriving colonies. Everything we've built, everything we've created, Walker said, his voice filled with determination, it was all leading to this moment. Humanity didn't advance in secret because we feared the Council. We did it because we knew that when this threat arrived, there would be no time for politics or pride. Counselor Gray stepped down from his platform, approaching Walker directly. In all of Council history, no High Counselor had ever left their elevated position during a session. The symbolism was lost on no one. Then let us prove worthy of your trust, Gray said, extending his hand in the human gesture of partnership. The Council has existed for 10,000 years. Thanks to humanity's preparation, we might survive to see 10,000 more. As Walker shook Gray's hand, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. The tactical display flashed red as new sensor readings appeared. The entities had accelerated. They would reach the outer defense line in less than a month. The race to save the galaxy had begun. The combined fleet of human and Council ships stretched across the void, a wall of defiance against the approaching darkness. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Defender, watching as the massive quantum resonance generators hummed to life. The energy field they created was visible even to the naked eye, a shimmering curtain of power that spanned hundreds of light years. Energy signatures detected, his neural-linked crew reported in perfect unison. The entities are responding to the resonance field. The tactical display showed the horror in perfect clarity. Hundreds of the entities, each one capable of consuming entire star systems, were changing course. But instead of retreating, they were gathering together, combining their mass into something even more terrifying. By the stars, Counselor Gray whispered from his position on the Council command ship. The neural link system humanity had installed allowed him to communicate directly with Walker. They're forming some kind of superstructure. Walker's expression remained determined. This is what we prepared for. All ships, execute Formation Delta. Activate adaptive shields and prepare for quantum strike. The combined fleet moved with impossible precision, thousands of ships flowing into complex patterns that would have taken years to coordinate without the neural link technology. Council crews, newly connected to their ships through human interfaces, felt the power of thought-speed reactions for the first time. The entities struck first. A beam of pure darkness shot from their combined form, aimed at the heart of the defense line. But humanity had predicted this too. The adaptive shields on the ships morphed and changed, absorbing and redirecting the energy. Now! Walker commanded. Execute Operation Lightbringer. The quantum resonance generators pulsed in a complex pattern, creating overlapping fields that trapped the entities in a web of disruptive energy. At the same time, the massive Titan project station near the black hole activated, channeling gravitational forces into a weapon never before seen in the galaxy. The entities fought back, their combined form unleashing waves of energy that would have annihilated traditional ships. But the human upgraded fleet held firm. Council weapons, enhanced with adaptive technology, struck with devastating precision at the weaknesses created by the resonance fields. Energy spike, the crew warned. They're attempting to breach the quantum barrier. Walker's voice remained steady. Activate the final protocol. All ships, channel power to your resonance amplifiers. Every ship in the fleet began to glow as they implemented humanity's ultimate weapon. The neural links allowed them to synchronize perfectly, turning the entire fleet into one massive resonance generator. The energy built up, higher and higher, until reality itself seemed to bend. The entities sensed the danger too late. The combined resonance pulse struck their merged form, disrupting the bonds that held them together. At the same time, the Titan project fired, its gravitational beam creating a localized spacetime distortion. It's working! Counselor Gray exclaimed. Their energy signatures are destabilizing. The battle reached its crescendo as the entities began to break apart, their unified form shattering under the combined assault. But they didn't go quietly. With their last effort, they released a surge of power that threatened to overwhelm even the advanced shields. Hold the line. Walker commanded. Humanity and the Council, together we stand. The fleet held firm, their unified determination channeled through the neural links into pure defensive power. When the energy wave passed, the sensors showed what seemed impossible. The entities were gone, their massive form torn apart and scattered into harmless fragments. Cheers erupted across the neural network as Council and human crews celebrated together. The impossible had been achieved. Through unity, preparation, and the sharing of technology, they had faced extinction and emerged victorious. Admiral Walker, Counselor Gray's voice carried across the command channel. Humanity has saved us all. The Council will never forget this day. Walker finally allowed himself a smile. We didn't save the galaxy alone, Counselor. We did it together. And together, we'll be ready for whatever else the universe throws at us. The combined fleet began to stand down from battle stations, but their unity remained. Humanity had not just prevented an extinction-level threat, they had forged a new era of cooperation that would reshape the galaxy forever. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.